Resident Evil, but with dinosaurs? That's like drugs and fun combined. It just equals more fun. Don't do drugs. I never got around to play Dino Crisis because for some reason Capcom hasn't dropped a remake for it yet, which is honestly kind of surprising. So a few months ago I bought a PS1 in a swamp meet, and to my surprise it worked. I also bought a CRT TV for $10, which is insanely cheap. So I got around to playing it the way it was meant to be played. But the wait, this shit was $70 on eBay. I mean, I did make sure that it had everything and that it was in good condition, so that's the reason for the price. Yeah, it was kind of worth it, I guess. It even came with a Resi 3 demo disc, which I might cover at some point since I want to revisit Resi 3 again soon. Also, as for the footage you're seeing, it is recorded straight from my CRTV. It was a huge hassle trying to find ways to record it. The quality of it is a bit upscaled, I think, but it looks like it still looks straight from the TV. So if you aren't satisfied with the quality, shit, on my screen it looked worse. I kept looking at OBS on my computer and it was really jarring looking back at my TV and seeing it was a bit worse. But I didn't mind because the resolution is part of the novelty. I was super excited to play it, but to be honest, I feel I didn't have all that much fun playing it. The game itself is really good, don't get me wrong, but I feel a lot of the aspects of it, mainly the combat or more so the lack of it, did kind of not land for me. I think it's partly my fault, but I mean, can you blame me? I hear Resident Evil dinosaurs, and it gets me excited to shoot down some dinos, fight a T-Rex and shit, eat some dino nuggets. Obviously, I already knew this was a survival horror game. I already knew there was gonna be little combat, but then it was actually a lot less than what I predicted. It feels like most of the game was puzzles and door codes, especially damn door codes. Holy shit, I hated those. So let's get started with some stuff Dino Crisis actually surprised me with. By the way, this is based on my first blind playthrough. It's very possible that I'm wrong about all of this. You have been warned. Well, first of all, the movement is great. You have the quick 180 button from Resi 3, which in itself makes the game 200 times more playable. Then there is a few stuff that actually was super interesting. For example, a few times during the game, I was in a cinematic and I got attacked in it. I was super confused because I was taking damage and it wasn't really my fault. Then I was like, no way, that's a QTE, right? Holy shit, those are QTEs. I was honestly mind blown by the fact that this was even a thing. I mean, it's not game changing or anything, but it was weird to see one on a PS1 game. There was no prompt for it or anything, so I had no idea if it was a QTE, especially because it only says danger. It doesn't tell you to press a button or anything. What you have to do is just go crazy on your fucking controller. I mean, if I had read the manual, I would have known, which by the way, the game came with. I'm sorry, I'm really trying to justify $70. But yeah, the manual tells you those are QTEs. Also, the dinos can make you drop your weapons and stuff. Although really annoying, it makes the combat feel really dynamic. There is crafting in this game as well, which is much more redefined than it was in Resi 3, yet it feels much worse. The problem with this crafting is that I have no idea what I'm doing or making. Like a lot of times I mix some shit with some other shit and it says I did something, but the description for the item didn't change. For example, there are these bandages that only stop your bleeding but don't heal you. So I decided to mix it with something, I forget what it was. And now there is a symbol next to it that says it worked, but it doesn't say anything about what it does different now. I guess it just stops your bleeding harder. I don't know, it feels like it would say something like, oh, this will heal you a bit and stop your bleeding. Or, oh, this will stop you from maxing out your credit cards. It's also very likely that what I'm mixing has literally no effect to what I'm trying to mix it with, and I'm just messing up. Then you also have darts to sleep dinos, which are kinda useful but not really. You see, a lot of times I'm just running around trying to find the next step to whatever I'm doing, which means I'll be running through enemies like crazy, which also means that if I put a dino to sleep, cause I'll be going back and forth, it's just gonna be for a little while, but I'm just gonna end up going through there a ton more times anyways trying to find what to do. It's just gonna wake up. So at that point it's useless to put it to sleep because it's just gonna wake up and I'll be spending what could be useful. The only situation darts are useful in is if you are absolutely sure you'll be doing something in said room or something. You can use the crafting to make those darts more potent, but to be honest, I didn't really care about doing that. But since I had no idea how to use the crafting, I just ended up making those. Feels like you really have to dive deep to understand it, especially since you have the Resi storage boxes. Except in this game, they sort of act like a vending machine. You spend plugs in order to open them, and they have stuff inside that you can take, but you also use them as a storage, which is actually a really cool idea. But most of the time there's only crafting materials in them, so I don't really know how to use them efficiently, so that means I won't even really try opening them. I'm sure for second playthroughs the crafting system becomes really useful and interesting, but I just felt so overwhelmed with it that I didn't really even want to mess with it. By the end of the game, the fact that I didn't use it much was kinda nice because I just kept making med kits at the end of the game. But anyways, I'll share what my issue with the combat was. I'll have to start from the beginning, sorta. So when I started playing, I was like, obviously I gotta conserve my ammo. And yeah, you do. The problem is that the dinos are ruthless in this game. Your pistol is so weak and you have to rely on it for a while. It barely makes the dinos flinch at all, and dinos can knock it off your hands. And they are also bullet sponges, like heavy bullet sponges. That's one of the issues. In Resident Evil, when you found ammo on the floor, you kinda knew, okay, I can definitely take down at least a single zombie. I'll have a bit of ammo left if I get lucky, and if I get luckier and scored a critical, I can take a zombie down in just 2 or 3 shots. There was always that off chance that you might get a headshot, and if that didn't work, you also had your knife. Obviously, since this takes place in Florida and these are giant lizards, you can't really fight them with your knife. You don't even have a melee weapon. So ammo is all you got, which is a limited resource. So in Resi, finding ammo meant that you could take down at least 2 or 3 zombies. In here, you find ammo and you're lucky if you even get to kill a single dinosaur with it. There is no getting lucky, I think. I don't remember ever getting a dino headshot or anything like that. Sometimes you'll spend all the ammo on a dino and bro will just get back up or bite your toes while it's down. So finding ammo means nothing in this game, you just have to hoard it. In Resi, getting the shotgun meant a few instant kills, but you had to get up close and aim at their heads. It took a single or 2 shots to the body. The fact that you always knew what you were capable of gave you a sense of strategy. The shotgun in Dino Crisis is weak as shit. You spend 6 or 7 shots on a single dino, and the ammo you get usually comes in like bundles of 5, I forget how much. So to kill one, it would take like 2 pistol shots and a full bundle of shells. Which, side note, I didn't find very fun to shoot dinos. Like, there is no feedback when shooting them. There is no gore either, which is, I wonder why they did that. I think it's because they are too similar to animals, which is like, it would really suck to see an animal's head being blown up, I guess. I don't know, PETA, I don't know. But yeah, it's honestly not very satisfying shooting dinos in this game because there's no gore or anything like that. You won't see dino heads blowing up or anything. They only fall back. So yeah, dinos are OP as fuck. Which I don't even know why I'm so surprised by it. Like, it makes logical sense. Dinos are fast, strong, and meaty. So all of what I just said makes sense. I remember thinking, damn, a survival horror dinosaur game? How would that even work? Dinos are so different from a lot of creatures in other survival horror games. Well, they kinda just barely work. I can't help but feel the clashing of the dinosaurs being dinosaurs, and then the slow gameplay of Resi. Like, it works, you're seeing it work. But a lot of times I go, yeah, it makes sense, because they are dinosaurs. So for a while at the beginning of the game, I tried to preserve my ammo because survival horror. In other survival horrors, you get quite a bit of ammo at the beginning, so you can sort of study your enemies to understand how much ammo they can take. And it's the same here. The problem is, I found it that there was a severe lack of ammo at the beginning of the game. Again, it didn't help the dinos basically starve you of it already, but seriously, I didn't find much like naturally in the world. Sometimes you move drawers and shit and there is secret ammo and items, but I feel like I barely had any, and I was already done studying the dinos. I knew how much they could take, so I was finally ready to conserve the ammo and spend it wisely, but I just kept finding none. Until one day I realized, like literally days later, oh shit, I'm supposed to use the item boxes, that's where the ammo is at. Again, because the crafting was not in my list of priorities, I didn't really mess with the storage boxes, and that's where the ammo was at, so it was basically hidden from me. So for like 2/4 of the game, I basically didn't even do any shooting. So yeah, the first half of the game I was not a fan of, but I will admit it was probably because it was my first playthrough. Again, this whole video is about my first playthrough. If you think I'm completely wrong about all of this, I literally do believe you. I could see how this can be so much funner the second way through. For my first playthrough, it felt like a lot of puzzle solving, which by the way, they are pretty cool, although I hate that they change up the rules for them. and they don't even remind you of how it works. At some point I did a puzzle at the very beginning of the game and only did it like 2 more times after that. And then at the very end of the game, they brought it back, and by that point I completely forgot the rules and code for it. Also, at the beginning of the game, like the very beginning of the game, you use a lot of ventilation shafts to move around and stuff, and then you literally never use them again, ever. So like 6 hours later in the game, for me it was like days later, at the very end of the game, after running around for like an hour, I couldn't find where to go, so I checked a walkthrough. Turns out that this metal square on the ground is supposed to mean ventilation thing you enter. Yes, in the beginning of the game there was that too, but like you could also see like the thing on top. And also, after like 6 hours I just completely forgot that was a feature. And there isn't even a ventilation here at all. And they really decided to just bring this back after 6 hours of the game. I honestly don't think I'd even think of it being a ventilation ever if I didn't see it on YouTube. But yeah, that's my rant. There is a severe lack of enemy variety, which is kinda odd. There is like 6 dinos in the game: a T-Rex, Raptor, Blue Raptor, and Big Raptor, and Small Raptor. Oh, and Flying Raptor. Okay, I really don't know the names for them. I only know them in their arc names. I really like how the small dinos are literally sticks though. I think that's really cute. But anyways, they only really get spongier, and that's about it. Some different grabs and attacks and whatnot, but I'm avoiding them all anyways. So to me it doesn't even matter if they have different attacks. Okay, I think I shat on the game enough already. Let me tell you what I liked. This game has some really cool moments. A lot of the QTs are really interesting. Seeing in-game PS1 cinematics never gets old. The T-Rex is so damn cool, but I honestly wish there was more of him. He wasn't used all that much. I would have liked to see a Nemesis and Jill kind of rivalry? What the that word? Of sorts with Regina. Maybe then she would have had something interesting to say. The last fight with it was really underwhelming, but it was so hyped that I didn't even care. Honestly, I was so hyped during the last bit of the game that it didn't really bother me that much. I really liked the last half of the game. That's when the game kinda clicked for me. But I still kinda messed up. So you have these issues like in Resi 3, and it's always basically the safe route or the dangerous route. And I already said how the first half of the game was boring to me, and I kept choosing the safe route as well. Well, since I was more comfortable with the game in the later half and I had ammo, I wanted to take the risk. Bro talked about getting a piece of a supercomputer, and I had to go where the T-Rex was at and a lot of enemies, and I was still saving up my ammo. I already knew where to get ammo by this point, but in general I wasn't fighting much since I was expecting some sort of big fight coming up, especially the T-Rex fight. So I was conserving ammo, but this seemed like the perfect opportunity to let loose a little and have fun. So I chose the dangerous route. Yeah, all that meant is that I just had to go back through the same hallways I was already going through, and yeah, that's basically it, and pick something up. I was expecting to get locked in a room and stuff and having to fight enemies. I don't even know why the T-Rex got mentioned. I got nowhere near it. So I was ready to go all out. But then he is just kinda knocked out at the end. Like, who even did this to you? Seriously, I don't even know how he got here. This was the perfect spot for a 1v1 with the T-Rex, which would have been so cool. Then he gets up and starts chasing the boat, which was actually so hype. I don't understand how he's going that fast though. Like, that makes no sense to me. But it took like 5 grenade launcher shots for it to be over, which, by the way, I'll say it again, I love grenade launchers in games. They're so cool for no reason. I couldn't help myself but smiled all the way through. And then we get a cool CGI cutscene, and I was ready for a lame ass one-liner.
End of the line for you, handsome. You're extinct.
But I won't lie, that was a fire ass line, and really fitting. Overall, once the game clicked with me, I really enjoyed it. I think I found a lot of the set pieces and scenes to be super entertaining because, I mean, dinosaurs. Come on. I found Regina to be kinda boring, I won't lie. She has a few funny bits and a sick ass one-liner at the end, but other than that I found her to be not very explored. It's either that or it's just the fact that I couldn't hear shit. I swear the mixing for this game is really bad. I couldn't hear shit half the time they speak. The music is too loud and it sounds like the voice actors looked away from the mic while recording, kinda how this is sounding right now, except with some super loud music playing, you know? Overall, this isn't a first playthrough game for sure. It definitely seems like the second way around is better to play through. There were a few times where this game felt like it could have made a really cool horror game. Like imagine if you could hide under desks and shit from dinos, and sometimes they even jump on top of desks like in that one movie. I'm not eager to hop back in just yet for a second playthrough, but I can't wait to revisit it soon. But yeah, bye bye.